I really thought after last Wednesday's stream this would be over, as far as like each side would go back to doing their own stuff, and they might still talk a little bit about each other, but there wasn't really going to be any new people dragged in after Kyle, because that really did seem like that was the last major person that could get yanked into this. Um, and then I looked on my subscription feed earlier today, and I saw a wonderful little video that I decided to click on and watch for the 30 plus minutes that it is. And I found myself wanting to vomit after viewing it. So at some point within, I'd say the last 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know when Glenn put up his video or when he was interviewed about this, but he talked about the situation with Dore and the allegations against him by Anna, the unsubstantiated ones, by the way. And Cenk took these clips of him, along with some clips of Jimmy, to refute him or to respond to him. And he attacked his credibility as a journalist. He said that we should now be more mindful of what mistakes he may have made in the past. And this really kind of, I don't want to say it pissed me off, but like Dore, for example, is a guy on YouTube that makes videos. TYT, a group of people that make videos. Secular Talk, person that makes videos. But Glenn Greenwald could be argued as one of, if not the best journalists who have come up in the last 20 years. From his criticisms of the Iraq War to being involved in a scandal that showed the Brazilian officials for some of the shady stuff they were doing, calling out the United States intervention in multiple countries, speaking about how Bolsonaro was much more dangerous than Trump. There's a lot of stuff that he has done that, goes far beyond just sitting in front of a camera and talking about something. And again, it doesn't mean that people who are just commentators are insignificant by comparison. Like, I think you could say that Jimmy's done a lot of stuff in the last, especially the last 2, 3, 4 years, but I'm saying that there are a lot more accolades for Glenn than most of these other people, which is why it's so disturbing to actually see someone that is supposed to be, on the left, try to insinuate that he somehow is corrupt or otherwise incorrect in his reporting, which still has nothing to do with, his opinion on this one issue. So I'm going to play the clip like last time. I'll pause it when I want to respond. And again, it's a really slimy thing these people are doing, because they're going to use your association with Jimmy, if you're big, to try to like drag you down into the abyss, to like shoot up your credibility. It's pretty much just a smear tactic, because if it's one thing to disagree with someone's conclusion on this specific issue, but to try and say, again, without proof, that they might have been incorrect with their reporting on other topics, you can understand what that's intended to do. It's supposed to make people believe less in the things you report based off of your conclusion on a topic that has nothing to do with the other stuff you're discussing in your columns or articles. So here we go. Let's begin our voyage into nonsense.
Bonus episode here about Glenn Greenwald's attack on Anna. It was vicious and it was completely false. And I'm going to prove it to you guys. I'm going to show you the tapes. And it's, first of all, really disappointing and sad to see, because Glenn, I thought, was a real journalist. And we've praised him on the show many times. And he did some amazing stories in the past, including, of course, the Edward Snowden story. And I think Edward Snowden's an American hero. It's a great story about Brazil. But after watching this, I was further heartbroken, because I think now I'm not really sure about any of his past stories. Did he hide evidence on purpose in all of those? I don't know. There's no way of knowing because of what you're about to see, right? And it should be noted, we're doing this in the bonus episode because we do an actual news program. We do tons of stories every day about things that matter in the world. And we fight for things like the $15 minimum wage. I've even set up 3 different organizations, and they've been relatively successful. I helped co-found Justice Democrats. There's 10 Justice Democrats.
Yeah, the same group that fired you, by the way, for writing stuff that they could actually prove. I didn't agree with that, and I mentioned before, my second highest viewed video is a stream I did defending him after he got fired. But it's funny. It's like, I founded this group. Are you still with the group? Oh, no, they got rid of me because they could actually prove I said, sexist things. But this is the start of what I'm talking about, where he's already, like sowing doubts on Greenwald's reporting with no proof. It'd be different if he was like, oh, I didn't like what he said about Anna, and then I found out that he was incorrect about this, and here's my nothing. It's just, I don't like what you said about my friend, so I'm going to insinuate that the past times in which you have been correct might have been incorrect without any proof. Because again, we don't do proof here. We just make up things.
In Congress right now. So we try to be constructive, right? Other people spend almost all of their shows attacking fellow progressives, doing personal drama, talking about their feelings, and almost never talk about the actual news, right? So in this case, I'm forced into responding because the smears were so over the top and so false and outrageous. So now this revolves around Jimmy Dore's claim that Anna tried to blackmail him with a DM that she sent him. So now Jimmy sexually harassed Anna while she was here, and that was all uncovered through this whole process. Now, you're going to see that with your own eyes in a second, but I need you to know that context. So when Anna says, and at that point, Anna sends the DM when Jimmy's already attacking her personally, and by the way, we're going to show you a clip of that later as well, so you'll see that evidence. And so Anna's super frustrated because they keep calling her these outrageous things that she paid off by NATO and all these other things. And Glenn claims that he's really outraged by anyone saying that somebody is paid by someone without evidence, yet he's never asked for evidence of any of us being paid by NATO. What an insane, absurd charge. But as long as it's his friends.
What's not an insane, absurd charge is the fact that there was a 20 million donation from, was it Jeffrey Katzenberg to the Young Turks? And you actually don't see Cenk mention that during this video because, again, it's not something that a lot of times when people have big donations and they're trying to play the, I'm like you type of thing, they don't like to mention that they get those big donations because the rest of us aren't, like, even the guys who are reporting on here aren't getting some millionaire to donate millions of dollars to them. Crowder has more subscribers than Young Turks despite the same breath. Jimmy Dore calling the Young Turks out too. Well, I mean, here's the thing. TYT has 5 million subs, right? But very few of their videos actually get 1 million views or even 500,000. Like literally videos, and the same thing with Secular Talk, like videos where they're talking about Dore are getting hundreds of thousands of views. Because he has a larger active audience than these people, or an audience that at least is comparable to these people, even though his channel is literally less than 20% the size of Young Turks. And again, they'd have to not really, like this is the thing, when you'll never see them do a video responding to me because of my size. But if I had like 100,000 views of video, like Jimmy does, they would respond to me. And we know they'll do that with people who aren't even the center of the story because they're doing it to Glenn right now. Except Glenn actually has some, I guess, clout, if you want to say that, that extends further beyond YouTube because he's been in, publications before.
And his buddies that he wants to advocate for, there's completely different standards, right? So in the midst of that frustration, Anna sends a DM, and now they've characterized it as blackmail. And I want to actually read the end of that DM for you guys so you know what the reality is, right? And it's in there. They've all put it in their videos. They read it to you guys, and then they tell you something that isn't true. So let's read the end of that DM. She says, I've been holding back, letting you run your mouth nonstop as if you're some sort of warrior for what's good in the world. That is going to change. Now, in blackmail, the way that it works is, hey, I'm going to do something unless you give me something. You give me a duffel bag full of money in a parking lot, or you do this, or you do that, or you don't do something. It's an ultimatum, right? Here, there's no ultimatum. She says, I'm going to do it, right? There's no like, oh, okay, maybe not, maybe this. If you do this, then I won't do that. No, she says, I'm mad because you are pretending to be a warrior for good when in reality, I know because of my personal experience that you're a dirtbag.
So the reason people call this blackmail is because prior to Jimmy making videos calling out the Young Turks during the Force the Vote scandal in January and the subsequent months after, like this past half year, Anna never came forward with these allegations, never spoke disparagingly of him at all. So the reason people are calling it blackmail is because we can infer that if he had never spoken out or directly called out the Young Turks, they wouldn't have started this allegation against him. At least had one of the co-hosts say something like this. And you got to remember that within the past year, Cenk was on Jimmy's show during his failed congressional bid. He came on his show, so he came on the dirtbag show as he's calling him in this. They always try to they use all these different adjectives and insults like they're really doing something.
So I'm going to let people know you're a dirtbag because that's who you are, because you're going out there and attacking me personally.
Took her 7 years.
This has nothing to do with politics anymore. You're saying I'm paid off by nefarious people, all these different things, and including sexual attacks, etc., as you're about to see, right? So I'm mad, and I'm telling you, okay, if you're going to attack us, then I'm finally, I've been holding, and we did, guys. We held for so long, and we only do these segments after they go for a month straight. Finally, we'll correct the record because we have a news program to do, right? So she says that. So as you can see, already out of the gate, the idea of blackmail is absurd. It's totally absurd. It's not true on the facts as we start. Okay, now let's get to Glenn. So he sees that. Instead, he says this.
You see what she did there? Now, since this DM was sent, Jimmy anticipatorily went and showed his audience this threat, which is what this is, that she sent him. A threat that she's going to accuse him of sexual harassment.
No, that's not what happened at all. And there's no anticipatory anything. Jimmy just came out and admitted that he did it, right? And by the way, some of the things he said in that account were not even true. So Anna wasn't going to say that, okay? And so she said, if you're saying personal things, I'm allowed to say personal things. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll tell you all the sexual harassment I already did. So instantly.
Well, all of the sexual harassment he already did, quote unquote, was one incident of her bending one way and then him making a comment about it and then her being embarrassed. See, his recollection was the first one that was deposited. After she sent him the message, he did the stream revealing this incident from 2013, 2014, whichever year it was. And then after that, she says that there were numerous occasions in which this happened, So what I'm saying here is that he's trying to make it seem as if Dore bragged about all of these constant nasty things he did to this lady, supposedly, but he only said it was one time where he said something that he later regretted or apologized for. Like, he can't even recount what was in the video correctly.
Starts out with a totally wild and incorrect way of phrasing it and characterizing it. So then he goes on and says this.
He gave his own version of events about what happened. She then went on her own program and made good on her threat.
But wait a minute. Jimmy already said he did it. So what do you mean made good on her threat? It's already.
See, this is what they love doing. They play dumb, like they don't know what he's talking about. Anna claims that Dore repeatedly made, I don't want to keep saying sexual, but these lewd comments about her physical appearance, over and over again. Whereas Dore disputes this and says that it was only one time where he said something that he later regretted or apologized to her for. So her threat was, you're talking trash about my organization. So if you keep doing this, I'm going to come out with this claim against you. And then he makes his stream talking about an event that actually happened. And then she does this other video with these guys, or with Cenk rather, creating this supposed series of harassing incidents that for some reason she couldn't tell her boss about.
Public for the whole world to see. Almost every show's talked about it that's in this progressive sphere, unfortunately, right? And I hate that the clip is replayed. Now we're going to have to replay the clip in a little bit to show you what a liar Glenn Greenwald is, right? But she made good on her threat. Okay, but wait, she said that's going to change. So where's the threat? Where's the part where she says, hey, I don't like your political opinions. If you don't stop, then I will do this. No, Jimmy just goes out and goes.
You don't have to give somebody an ultimatum to make a threat. If I send, just as hypothetical example, if I go on Twitter and I send someone a DM and it says, I've been letting you run your mouth about me for the past 2 months, but when I get to your home, that's going to change. That's a threat. You know, you can infer what I mean by when I get to your home, as in what possible things I'm planning to do to you. And there's no ultimatum being made there. So you don't have to say, if you don't do this, you just say, hey, you've been running your mouth, I'm coming for you. That's literally what she said basically in the message. I've been letting you operate as if you're this force of good in the world. Well, apparently he was, if you were able to work with him year after year.
Oh, you're going to attack me? I caught feelings. Oh, that's it. Everybody, all my cult, go out and tell everybody I caught feelings, right? So I'll tell you already, I'm a sexual harasser, right? And then Glenn takes that and goes, oh, you see how Anna is the one who did the threat and then carried out the threat. But Glenn, you left out the part where Jimmy already admitted it. But wait, it gets way worse.
Cenk is acting like you have to give somebody an ultimatum to make it. Like if I go to Banana Merchant's channel, I'm like, I've noticed you haven't been commenting on my videos. When I make a video about you, we'll see how many times you'll comment after that. Like, that's a threat. I didn't give him an ultimatum, and I'm going to him and saying like a warning of what I intend to do. That's what she did. No, but you have to give somebody an ultimatum. You have to go, if you don't do this, then this, or it's not a threat.
Tomorrow.
I have no idea what took place back in 2014 when they were working together because I wasn't there. But here's what so I can't comment on whether anyone did anything wrong back then.
You have no idea what took place, and you can't tell if anyone did anything wrong. All right, well, this is the clip that everyone has already seen. It's inconceivable that Glenn didn't see it. And if he chose not to look at it, well, that would also be absolute negligence if you're a so-called journalist. So he couldn't tell if anybody did anything wrong. Let's watch.
Anna Kasparian used to dress, when I worked there, unbelievably inappropriately for a newsroom. She looked like she was going to a rave. The skirt, one time she came into the newsroom with a skirt so short. It wasn't a pencil skirt. It was like a fluffy one too, but so short that she bent over in front of me and I literally saw her ass and her thong. She's wearing a thong. I literally saw it. Like, everybody saw it. And I go, hey, Anna, nice news skirt. And everybody laughed. Like, they laughed louder than I thought they would. And so it humiliated her. She got humiliated in the middle of the newsroom. And I did it.
Now, Glenn, you said, I have no idea what took place. Well, your friend, the one you're...
The reason Glenn's probably saying that, and I'll just come, hypothetical, is maybe the fact that you have two people who claim an event occurred. Because remember, Dore's claiming this is it, while Anna's claiming there were multiple different instances where he did something to her. This poor abused lady. But in Dore's recollection, he says that everybody laughed. And then in Anna's recollection, she claims that she checked him and told him, you will never do this again. So yeah, he's saying he doesn't know what happened, because even though they're both saying some version of this happened, there are still differences based on who recounts it, to where you don't really know for sure.
Defending and hiding the evidence for told you he did it, and he told you exactly what took place according to his own account. And I don't know. I don't know what happened. What, am I, a journalist? I don't know. Oh, everybody's already seen the clip. Oh, I don't know what the clip is. I have no idea what took place. And by the way, there's two really important things here. One is, why is he calling it a news skirt? Because the humiliation comes in you're not a real news person. You're just here for all the men to leer
Oh,
at
here
you.
we go. Okay.
That's why I look.
This is where what I'm so sick of these people doing. Anytime you criticize a woman, on the left anyway, right? Because if I do a Liz Cheney video, nobody cares. You know, that's one of the okay examples because we're used to like punching on her. But if you criticize a woman ever in the political sphere, you immediately get called sexist. Like, for example, if I came to work, and this is one of the things that really irritated me. Like, I played Kyle's video and he talked about how Dore was a fundamentalist Christian because he criticized the attire that Anna was wearing. But, you know, I've never seen a job where they don't have a dress code. And, you know, this is, I guess, what gets me. People want equality, but you know damn well that there are multiple outfits that a man could wear that he would be criticized for wearing. But if you talk about the attire of a woman, which again, Jimmy's only doing because she's claiming this harassment thing. So he's not just doing it to make fun of her. He's doing it specifically because this person came and it's, but you know, they're trying to control how you respond to people slandering your name. But they do the moral high ground thing of like using this person's gender to get you with. So they're like, how could you say this about a woman? How could you tell her how to dress? Like, well, hell, people came on here and talked trash about my attire, and nobody said, look at this sexist thing they're doing to this man. No, I was getting insulted, and you know, I didn't get to use a gender shield to pretend like I was barred from criticism. Which again, in this instance, is only coming from the fact that she is allegating that, you know, he did something to her. So that's one of the points that like goes over. But they always use chicks to try and play victim. You did this because this person. So let's just shut up.
Picked up your skirt and had a big laugh about it. Glenn, you're not sure what happened? You're not sure if, what did he say? Whether anyone did anything wrong back then, you're not sure about it. You're a journalist, and you just saw that. He never put that clip, he never mentioned that clip anywhere in his video. He never talked about it. My God, Glenn, what else have you hid from your readers all of these years? If you're doing a story...
So again, this is another part of, you know, taking you down by using somebody else's name. So because Glenn came out in favor of Dore in this situation, now Cenk is alleging, without any proof, that there is a possibility that Greenwald has been incorrect in his reporting in the past. When he started his blog, 2005, 15, 16 years. Again, no proof. But wait, they called it sexist because TYT and Kyle portrayed it wrong on purpose. It's women who should have called Anna out for abusing the Me Too movement. It hurts women the most what she did. Yeah, and you know, it's really not hard to just look at this and say it's BS. Like I've never seen a victim who, after their supposed abuser has been gone for 2 years, and that person starts making videos attacking the company and all of its members. He was talking about Cenk just as much as her, if anything else. Now you're going to come on here and say that, oh, he abused me. Oh, why didn't you say anything? Oh, because they can never explain why they just sit there and have these supposed terrible things happen, and then only when it's convenient for them do they come out and reveal it.
As a journalist on this, and you hide the most important evidence, what else have you hidden? So the second part that's important about the Jimmy clip is they're still laughing. This isn't something you did wrong and you apologized for 12 years ago, 7 years ago. Oh my God, we shouldn't have said that on air. This is not an on-air thing. This is a workplace thing, okay? You do this at work. That is textbook sexual harassment. Anyone who defends that, I don't know what you...
Well, Elma, don't we all invite our abusers to our weddings? Isn't that something that all of us do where somebody abuses like, hey, you can come to my wedding? So I said, this is a comedy.
But you're definitely not a progressive. And then...
Oh, and then, dude, this is one of my favorite parts. So now he's going to... Because they did the same thing to Dave Rubin, because Dave Rubin went off and like had his own successful thing, but he like turned right wing or whatever. So if you do something they don't like, they try to like pretend they can gatekeep who is progressive and who isn't. And Cenk's the last person who should be calling anybody non-progressive, considering he used to do rallies in favor of the, what was it, the Gulf War? Like, how are you a Republican for years, and then you're going to come on here and tell us, well, this person's not actually progressive, but I definitely am.
Not only did you do it back then, you're still having a great time about it. He's laughing. Steph is laughing. We humiliated her.
Yeah, it's funny because you guys came out with these stupid allegations, hoping that it would destroy Dore, and it's had the reverse effect. Like, go look at Secular Talk's first video on this subject, the one I did the stream on. That thing has almost as many downvotes as up. I've never seen a Secular Talk video with the downvotes rivaling the upvotes. So no one is believing this. It's just a stupid thing these people made up because they're tired of being criticized on policy and being unable to respond to it because the criticisms are true.
But Glenn's not sure what happened. He doesn't know at all. What is he, a journalist? No, of course not. So there's a lot more where that came from. So now Glenn now makes up something, just fabricates a fact. Let's watch.
If anything, she was his boss at the Young Turks. And yet, according to her own version of events, and according to Jimmy's as well, she never once voiced a complaint about being sexually harassed by Jimmy Dore in the workplace.
But wait a minute. Anna wasn't Jimmy's boss at all. So Anna's become executive producer of the show later, but I was Jimmy's boss.
See, this is an important part right here, okay? When he says that Anna wasn't Jimmy's boss, he doesn't specify when Anna became an executive producer or whatever leadership position that would put her above Dore. Because remember, Dore has only been gone from the company for 2 years. So in a hypothetical, if she became boss later on, and around this time, you have Jimmy, again, according to her recollection, repeatedly harassing her, she could have gotten rid of him. And, before he finishes by saying that he's the boss or he was boss at this point, you can watch these videos and it's very clear that Cenk believes her ridiculous claim, right? So she could have gone to him and told him, this employee that we, like personally, I guess, is harassing me. Either, can you please do something about it? It's uncomfortable. But she didn't, because her claim is something she made up a couple of weeks ago.
So why didn't you check with us? Hey, you're supposed to be a journalist. Hey, was Anna Jimmy's boss at the time?
See, this is another thing that's annoying. Like, unfortunately, journalists, depending on what their what's the way of saying it, their status is, they don't have easy access to these people. Like, I can't, for example, if I called myself which I'm not saying that would put me in the same leagues as Greenwald, because he's obviously much more famous, but I couldn't then send a private message or message on Twitter to Cenk or Anna and expect them to respond, because they usually don't respond to the people on that website or anywhere else. Same thing with Jimmy. I don't think I could send him a message and he would respond. So it's not that easy to just go and ask these people, hey, did this happen? Did that happen? And again, Greenwald, at his core is a political commentator. And unfortunately, what I guess TYT doesn't want to accept is that most people who make videos on this stuff have never interacted with these people at all. So they're going to look at what has been released and then give their opinion on it. And some of it will be speculation. Some of it will be, maybe intentionally not as correct as what actually happened. But that's just the nature of having this stuff in the public, that you're going to have some uninformed takes on what happened.
No, you just chose to make up that non-fact. And I found that so curious. Why fabricate something for no reason at all? It's just going to embarrass you, right? But then I saw this old clip of Jimmy basically threatening other people here, right? And when I say old clip, I mean, this is after the controversy began, right? And he's trying to make sure now desperately, oh my God, I don't want more things to come out. And he said this.
Oh, it's a damn ad. I was like, what the? See that? Oh, let me get rid of this ad. Give me a second. I hate these videos so much. They have like 90 ads. You can't even play them without having to watch it too, to see if it doesn't happen.
Never in the course of this 7 years uttered a peep about claiming to have been sexually harassed by Jimmy Dore. In fact, in 2016, as I just showed you, they had a very amicable exchange. He was wishing her well on her mother's surgery, and she said, "Thank you so much, and it's so great to see how much you're kicking ass." That's not the exchange that one would expect from someone who actually feels like they were maliciously and systematically sexually harassed by someone else. But maybe it is. Maybe that did happen.
Okay, so we played a clip there.
Before we respond to what Cenk said, let me read what Elmer wrote. Glenn is one of the best journalists of our time. He is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist. He paid a high price for this, has to live in Brazil, still gets life threats, the audacity of... Well, that's my thing. It's like, you can actually point to specific accolades that set Greenwald above these other people. So to have a YouTube commentator try to assert, I no longer can believe in the accuracy of what Glenn... It's like, what? Who are you to be... opining the merits of someone's integrity after all the stuff he's been through, and you haven't done any of that other than run your mouth on the computer.
Of Glenn continuing. I'll get back to the Jimmy clip in a second. But in that Glenn clip right there, he says, maybe it happened. Maybe. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He said, in all these years, she never uttered a peep. Guys, you've seen sexual harassment stories. It's number one go-to maneuver of people defending sexual harassers. Why didn't she come out before? Why was she a decent person and didn't want that guy fired? She made the mistake of thinking he's a friend. By the way, if you've been sexually harassed, if you're a woman or a man out there, say it right away, okay? Because they're going to use it against you later.
We're gonna use it against you later if you don't have proof, and if you wait these extended periods of time to come out and accuse somebody. It's really not that difficult to understand why people don't believe a lot of this stuff. And you look at the context of when these allegations take place, and it looks like BS. Who in the hell would work with someone for 7 years or possibly longer that continuously makes sexual advances towards them or words or whatever, and then they have this boss who doesn't tolerate that stuff? So, Cenk's this big Me Too movement proponent, and then they don't say anything to their boss about this. And they don't say anything about this guy even after he leaves the company. It takes him criticizing the company over a year after his departure for them to start concocting this plan to bring out this story, which, again, if it were true, they would have actually gotten rid of him when it happened. Again, we know that TYT is not above getting rid of people. Look what they did to Jordan Chariton. So, yeah, that's why people don't believe a lot of these accusers. Stop waiting 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years to say something about somebody.
Send some sick guy like Glenn Greenwald after you later and go, why didn't she say a peep before?
Yeah, why didn't she say a peep before? I'd love to know. Oh, yeah, because it's something that didn't exist. Or excuse me, the reason she didn't say anything about it before is that at the time, Dore was not an enemy of the Young Turks. When he started making videos about them, he became one of their opponents. And since they couldn't respond to him on any of the stuff he was saying about policy, they had to come out with an allegation because they knew that people who don't like this man will, buy it instantly.
Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. Even though he already knows that his friend admitted it on tape.
And again, false reporting by, courtesy of the Young Turds. You have Anna claiming this happened multiple times, and Jimmy claiming there was one instance of him saying something that he apologized to her for. It's not the same. It's two different stories. And he's like, he already admitted. No, he admitted to a single incident that he apologized for, versus her claiming this was over and over. So it's again, their misrepresentation. Cenk posted. Oh yeah. I saw that part of Jimmy's video where again, the idea that he's a proponent of women is hilarious. Like on your show, you posted camel toes, pictures of naked chicks on your website. You had these blog posts that ended up getting you booted from an organization that you hadn't even been part of for 2 years when you founded it. It's hilarious.
I want to go back. Do we have the Jimmy clip? So this is a quick clip about where Jimmy's on another show, and it explains why in the world Glenn would be making up the fact that Anna was his boss when she wasn't. Let's watch.
So now if anybody else at the Young Turks comes out and say that I harassed them, Anna's going to get sued.
Oh, I get it now. Okay. So if anybody else at the Young Turks says I sexually harassed them, they better not, because I won't be in trouble. Anna will be in trouble.
Well, if you make up allegations, or rather, if you allege something of somebody that can ruin their reputation with no proof, and it affects this person in a negative manner, what do you expect them to do? Like for example, let's say I was a politician and I'm running for, I don't know, the Senate or the House or president or something like that, right? And I have a woman who comes out and says, 10 years ago, Justin said sexual things to me. You know, you'd be like, why didn't you say anything before? And also the timing of this is a little too inconvenient. So I think that people who don't like having accusations made toward them that are designed to ruin their reputation have the right, or should have the right, to sue that person for libel. You know, like it's really not difficult to understand why somebody would want to sue someone who alleges that of them. You know, it'd be different if Anna came out and said, Dore made comments I didn't like, but I don't think people should not watch him if they don't want to. No, the whole point of making these accusations was to try and hurt his show, because she can't stand that her and her garbage company are getting criticized for things they can't dispute. They have not made one video addressing any of the policy-based critiques that Dore had of them. Not a single one. Because they can't.
You better not say it. That's a Jimmy Dore, like weirdo, like rage, right?
I would have rage too if somebody made false accusations against me. Like if I have someone who can, let's say, accuse me of something that can ruin my reputation, you're damn right I'll spend $3,000-$4,000 to sue them, or however much it costs, because this is life-threatening stuff.
He's threatening everybody here, all the women who worked here. And he's saying, remember, I'm going to get Anna in more trouble. Remember how I sexually harassed her? And remember how I humiliated her and laughed about it? Well, I'm going to do it to you guys. And I'm going to do it to Anna, because Anna, I'm pretending Anna was my boss. Now, Jimmy knows Anna wasn't his boss. He knows that for a fact. Hey, Glenn, did you ask Jimmy if Anna was the boss? You didn't ask anybody. You just made it up. Oh, but if Anna was the boss, then Jimmy's point might be an interesting one. But Anna wasn't the boss. So I don't know if Glenn lied on purpose so that he could protect Jimmy.
Well, this is what gills me. They act like people know what the management over there is. Like every time you go on TYT, right, you usually see the same two co-hosts, Cenk and Anna. And we know that when Cenk ran for Congress, Anna took over as executive producer. But we still don't know if that's actually when she became a boss or when she got an upgrade in her position or not. He in this whole video, this 30-minute defense that he has, he never tells us at what date, what year did Anna become a higher ranking official within the company. Never says it. These are the same people who asked why Tara Reid came forward so late and when Biden was running for president. Yeah, well, that's kind of how the Me Too stuff works, where if you like somebody, you believe, you don't believe it, but if you don't like somebody, you believe it, even if neither one has really any evidence to support it.
From further sexual harassment claims, I don't know of any. I hope he didn't do it. I hope to God he didn't do it, but God, I don't know anything about Jimmy. I don't know anything about Glenn. I thought I knew these guys, and apparently none of us ever knew them at all. Monsters. So now, as you saw there in the earlier clip, Glenn said, she didn't speak out. It's basically, he seems like he's blaming her. He does the standard caveats in the video. I'll be way more fair than him. So in the video,
I know that Dore said that, but like I said, I have no sympathy. If Anna was truly getting harassed by this man, she could have gone to Cenk, who we see believes her, or some other high-ranking person behind the camera, potentially. I don't know who the leadership over there was, and told them, this employee keeps making these comments that turn me off, disturb me, whatever. But she didn't, because this wasn't actually what happened at that time. It's just a thing she made up recently.
There's a couple of times, yeah, it happens with women. Sometimes it happens with women that they don't say anything about sexual harassment. They come out later. But in the case of Anna, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. What do I do? Would I watch it? No, I didn't watch it. So,
hey, you know what?
In case you were unaware of it.
Remember, Cenk's the person who wanted to bomb Syria to send a message, kill people in Syria to send a message to countries we couldn't bomb. But we're the monsters for not believing an accusation with no proof. Cenk's the same person that said he was drowning in a sea of tits. But we're the monsters for not believing accusations with no proof. Cenk's the same person who runs a company that didn't even want to give his workers a union. But we're the monsters for saying we don't believe allegations with no proof.
Here's Jimmy again admitting.
She got humiliated in the middle of the newsroom, and I did it.
Glenn, you call yourself a journalist? Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. The hatchet job from a guy who I thought was a journalist in an earlier career, who now has become some weirdo right-winger. And if you say, oh, no, he's actually really left-wing, but he just happens to go on Tucker Carlson and Jimmy Dore's show, and he happens to support all these right-wing talking points. It's just all...
See, this is stupid right here, because there actually are progressive people that go on, like, if you're progressive and you go on Fox News and you're not Bernie, you'll get criticized by Cenk and these other people. Like Ro Khanna went on Fox News, Jimmy went on Fox News, and all of a sudden Tulsi went on Fox News, and with the exception of Ro, who does go on TYT as well, all of these other people have been criticized as supposedly being right wing because they happen to go on Fox News. So if you're not going on their show as well, like Ro or Bernie, then you're a right winger.
All happens to be, and he never happens to criticize right wing. Hold on. I've got that for you too, because Glenn also admitted what he thinks about certain situations later in this video. But now we're going to go back to his smears against Anna. Let's keep going.
That fact that someone doesn't come forward doesn't mean nothing happened. But what she's doing here is as grotesque as it is transparent.
So it doesn't mean that it didn't happen, but you see that, but she's grotesque. Jimmy is not grotesque for all the things that you saw. Anna's grotesque. This is textbook blaming the victim. Textbook. He continues.
It's basically blackmailing him, saying if you continue to criticize us, I'm going to accuse you of sexual harassment.
I already showed you that it was no such thing. But Glenn, you're supposed to be a lawyer, and I get it.
Again, the timing of these accusations is what makes nobody believe them. Like you don't get criticized on policy along with the rest of your company and then accuse the person criticizing you, of harassment, and then have people go, oh yeah, that was just a thing that occurred naturally without any impulse for it to happen. It's like, no, you created this as a smear against Dore because you couldn't handle the fact that he was criticizing your company, and you guys still can't address anything he said about you people. So, that's why nobody believes it.
You're no longer a journalist, you're an advocate, and you've decided that you're going to advocate for this monster, Jimmy Dore. I don't know why you made that decision. I don't care, because I have no respect for you left at all, okay? But you're a lawyer, and you're doing an interesting job of advocating here. You don't know that blackmail is a very serious criminal charge.
Well, remember, according to Kyle Kalinske, Elma, you can't, that female student is a fundamentalist Christian. You can never criticize a woman's attire, ever. She'd be able to wear whatever she wants. There's no such thing as inappropriate dress. And if you believe that, you might as well just go sign up for it was Jerry Falwell's group. He'd be part of that team.
And you just said that on tape with no evidence at all? In fact, you hid the evidence of the actual sexual harassment from your audience. You see, if you're in his audience and you're a reader, understand from now on, you have no idea what Glenn didn't tell you. The overwhelming evidence that might be on the other side, but Glenn wasn't advocating for that position.
See, this is the part of the video that really pisses me off, because he's using Glenn having one opinion that he doesn't agree with, and he's claiming is not showing evidence, even though everybody has seen this video. I don't know why when you talk about this, you have to keep replaying the same video, like why you can't just state what happened, but whatever. So he's going to use this to try and smear Greenwald's entire career. So then I am going to court tomorrow in a bikini. Yeah, you can wear whatever you want. And if anyone criticizes you, they're a fundamentalist Christian who Kyle will have to hold everything back from not beating up.
He wanted to advocate for his own opinions and his perspective. And in this case, he wanted to say, well, sexual harassment, is it really that bad? I mean, but the victim is grotesque. The victim is grotesque. You just saw it with your own eyes. By the way, there are really grotesque people in the world. There's like literal Nazis in the world. They write at the Daily Stormer. So interestingly enough, they also wrote about this story. Can we put it up on the screen here? I'm sorry that we have to subject you to the headline above that as well. But remember, these are literal Nazis. And they run with the headline, Anna Kasparian blackmailing Jimmy Dore with Me Too hoax. Hoax. You saw it on tape for exposing the Young Turks pro-war agenda. We also don't have a pro-war agenda. Every part of this story is a lie. Okay, now,
See, that's what he said there is ridiculous because we have a clip of him advocating for bombing Syria for the purpose of sending a stronger message to other countries that we were not able to invade. So you see how he just like waves off like, oh, we don't have a pro-war agenda, but you don't actually dispute why people are saying that, you know? So that's just something else to point out.
Because the Nazis agree with Glenn and Jimmy, and by the way, other people, it doesn't mean that Glenn and Jimmy are Nazis. We're fair. You look at Hitler was a vegetarian. That doesn't mean vegetarians are Nazis, right? But when the Nazis agree with you, you should probably quadruple check your position. Did Glenn look like he quadruple checked his position? No. And so now it's interesting. By the way, after Jimmy's side put out all these old tapes of ours, some of the worst alt-right people like Cernovich jumped in and started spreading them around. And get a load of the alt-right and the alt-left meeting, okay? I mean,
so this part is funny to me. When he says old tapes, he's talking about the segments the Young Turks have where they were talking about camel toe and showing women's naked pictures, you know, covered up a little bit so that they couldn't get in trouble with the website. But do you see how one stone turns another? He says old tapes as to hand wave what exactly those old recordings of them are, because he knows that they're hypocritical to his new stance as the defender of women, the Me Too advocates. So he has to, you know, hand wave it. But when Glenn doesn't play the video of Dore that we've all seen 5, 6, 7, 8 times played by everybody, he is not showing evidence. So Cenk is allowed to not show, and hell, not even tell you what's in the. See, if he didn't show up and then told us what was in the clip, that would be one thing. But he doesn't show you what's in the clip. He doesn't describe what's in it. But he's not withholding evidence. But if someone doesn't play that clip of Jimmy every time they report on this, they're withholding proof. The Nazis agree with Glenn and Jimmy. Well, Glenn is a vegan, so XX I'm Nazi. But my thing is, there are a lot of right-wingers that, like when the comparison of, oh, Breitbart said this, there are a lot of right-wingers who agree with left-wing people on international issues, for example. I know that Secular Talk and Jimmy both supported Trump meeting with Kim Jong-un because they wanted a peace deal between North Korea and the United States. There are multiple right-wing politicians that left-wing politicians work with. You know, Thomas Massey, for example, will work with Ro Khanna on ending wars. So it's very weird to see them try to like do a guilt by association thing where, oh, this other person doesn't believe our accusation either. Maybe you need to check who you're with. It's like, no, it's not, you don't get, like, I guess maybe he thinks Jimmy is supposed to be Professor X. You don't get to control who agrees with you and who doesn't and what their positions are on other stuff.
Thing has come full circle because the original guy who leaked blogs and tapes about me when I formed Justice Democrats was Mike Cernovich. So he's also the Pizzagate guy. So Pizzagate, Seth Rich conspiracy theory. So all of this is now beginning to make a lot of sense. So and you just heard me call Jimmy alt left.
Dude, he's making Mike Cernovich sound like his arch nemesis, or like his the what do you call it, the background villain pulling the strings. This was the person that leaked the tapes about me, and this is the same person that agrees with Dore now. It's like, well, maybe if you didn't, I don't know, put out sexist posts and found a group that doesn't believe in people changing, then might not happen to you. Because I won't get kicked out of any groups I found it over old tapes or whatever, because all of my views are public. And also, I'm not going to found a group with people who will turn on me quicker than you can change shirts.
And I decided that actually is, a pretty good term for them, because they live in an alternate reality. There's the real left with Bernie Sanders and AOC and Nina Turner and Ryan Grimm and David Sirota and us, where we're trying to do something constructive in the world, where we're actually trying to pass bills.
Dude, they haven't. Let me tell you something. The Young Turks and the Justice Democrats, complete abject failures, because while they might get a couple of people elected to Congress, the majority of their members don't do anything to change stuff. And we're not even talking about actually like passing laws, because I understand when you have a chamber of right wingers, it's hard to do anything if you're left wing. But like, they won't hold rallies, they won't protest, just nothing, because they want to get along with Schumer, Pelosi, all the rest of the stooges at the top, right? So when he says we're trying to pass bills, I can't think of one bill that this group has passed. I can think of some proposals like the Green New Deal, but nothing that's actually become a law. And sure enough, the same politicians that don't support their positions and make it impossible for them to pass stuff like Biden and Hillary, Cenk voted for. So he's just another Democratic Party stooge. Like they're going to have all. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a Democrat that won that said they want to bomb another country. He's like, well, they're the nominee, so I have to vote for them. I have to support them. And then when they get in office, now you're going to talk about how bad they are, but you're the same person who knew they were bad when you voted for them.
And yes, we even hold those people accountable, as we did in the $15 minimum wage fight. We held Bernie Sanders and the Justice Democrats. We helped get elected accountable, because you need to pass the bills.
See, this is, again, they didn't pass anything. We elect these people, and then when they don't actually change anything, we get upset with them, even though we know that nothing would be changed anyway, which is the whole point of what Dore talks about. Like, I love how he's making it sound like they're these really constructive individuals, when the only successes they have are winning a couple of House seats. I don't even think it's 20. That's how few it is. And then getting politicians who, once they get elected, don't actually change anything. Like the only person they have that's made a little bit of a difference out of the whole Justice Democrats, right, was Ro Khanna, because he actually was involved with several foreign policy initiatives. And even then, that still is like not saying much, because most of it doesn't really pass. And he didn't even get elected with their help. So like the only person that's actually remotely changing things a little bit, as far as like will pass some or work with Republicans to actually do something constructive. Not only do they not support or prop up like they do AOC and the rest of the squad, but he didn't even get elected with their help. He did it completely without Cenk and the rest of the young turds assisting him.
Because guys, if we don't pass bills, all this is academic. It's about everybody's ego. Who cares about people's ego? Pass the goddamn bills, right? Nope. We got to tear everybody down.
This is the funny part about the video. He can't name one bill they have passed because they've done nothing.
And in our alternate reality, the most important thing in the progressive movement is Jimmy Dore's feelings. That is the most important. The most important thing in like he says, Jimmy Dore's feelings, but he's trying to gatekeep who's on the left. Well, you're part of the alt left if you support Dore over the Young Turks, or if you don't stand by us as we make this accusation without proof. And apparently, Dore is the most important thing in the movement, because if he wasn't, you wouldn't have people like Sam Cedar and now the Young Turks or Kyle making multiple videos on it. So it's really not hard to see where he's becoming like one of the central figures of this whole thing. Sick. So they've easily earned that title of the alt-left. And by the way, if you want to be in there and you want to, no. Those things don't matter. The only thing that matters is the cult of Jimmy Dore, which I can't believe Glenn Greenwald has joined. Jesus, Glenn, you have no self-respect at all.
Yeah, self-respect is being a supposed independent outlet that takes $20 million from a donor and then goes to the center. All right, let me read what Elma said. Cenk's family are MHP followers, neo-Nazis in Turkey who are governing at the moment with dictator Erdogan. Their symbol is the gray wolf. And what is the symbol of the wolf pack Cenk founded? The gray wolf. Even if they don't pass any bills, like Kyle said, the squad is acting good. No, I don't dispute that they believe in the positions they espouse. I'm simply saying that when these people are elected and serve multiple terms, I think it's not wrong to look at a lack of those things actually passing and say, maybe this isn't working. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe this is not changing whatsoever. And you can even go as far as to say that I think Jimmy would, because Jimmy talks about wanting to like shut down streets for Medicare for all. People like AOC and Bernie can actually, they're famous enough to mobilize those types of efforts. Like if the whole country was shut down for a week, you would see politicians be more receptive to passing single because they would see how many people want it and, bend to the will of the public. So he's not even someone who really is upset that they can't pass stuff, but just he doesn't see them as actually making an effort to change things. But again, they'll always they don't ever it's funny, they always like portray Jimmy, these other sources, as being like this rage monster or whatever. But if you actually listen to this man, he has nuance. Like when he talked about people should have said they were going to vote for Howie Hawkins during the 2020 election or during the 2016 election, where say that they were going to vote for Jill Stein instead of Hillary. The point of doing that would be to get the Democratic candidate in those instances to realize they can't win if the Green Party is pulling all this support, and then be tempted to take positions from the Green Party. But again, they don't do any of this type of tactical stuff because there's no organization behind it.
A lot of people have lost their self-respect in this fight. It's really sad to see. Okay, and by the way, they say, and this is another thing that I have to confess drives me crazy. Oh, Young Turks and Jimmy are in this fight and it's a soap opera. We didn't start this. We don't do this on the regular show. We do this once a month after they've piled up all of these lies, all these falsehoods, etc. They
talk about the real news. Anyways, let me read what Marco said. Too bad the Young Turks can't get taken down from YouTube like Alex Jones. Seems to me like they are protected by YouTube. I don't support deplatforming. I was opposed to it when they got rid of Alex on all the different websites. I didn't like when they got rid of Laura Loomer on Twitter. So I don't like getting rid of someone you don't like on a website. The only time that's a little bit appropriate is if you can like prove that they're spreading misinformation. And even then, just take down the post, Like if just make it to where when they put up a post like that, just get rid of that one.
They do it every day, all day long. That's all they do. Guys, wake up. If you're not actually part of the alt-left, wakey. When's the last time they actually did anything constructive? All right. So now this whole blackmail thing, I'm going to come back to that because
if you actually look at like Cenk's whole political career, which it's even funny to even say that, it's like, let's see. In 2017, he founded a group that maybe will get 2-3 people elected to Congress every 2 years, that threw him out less than a year after they were founded for old blog posts, which I still stand by my belief that was screwed up, because it's like, how the hell do you do that to somebody over stuff they wrote, 10 plus years ago? 2 years later, now, you know what? We don't even have to do that. He starts this group that gets rid of him. He runs for the House and gets destroyed. He gets this big donation from Katzenberg and then starts doing like a right-wing swift to the center thing. So I don't really see where he's been this big productive. Like, he'll have interviews with some different politicians, but what is Sanders passing? What are any of these people passing? They're just bench warmers. Like, yeah, when there's enough of us, we'll eventually do something. And it all comes down to him trying to take the moral high ground on both policy and on these allegations. Like, not only do I believe in this woman that is claiming that this man did something to her several years ago, but I also am leading the successful movement against right-wing Democrats. No, not at all. They haven't passed single payer. $15 minimum wage still isn't national. There has been nothing. It's all sensationalism.
People who used to be good, smart people have been duped by that too. So apparently this was a state secret, and Anna was going to threaten to reveal it unless Jimmy did the things that she wanted. Now, she didn't write any of that. You saw it with your own eyes. But not only that, apparently Jimmy had already revealed it. So I want to give credit to Matt Dimitri, who's found a lot of these old videos, because Jimmy does live streams, but he's so unhinged, etc. He takes a lot of them down afterwards, realizing, oh my God, I've said terrible things. In fact, I don't know why he takes them down, and I don't care. Okay, but
how are you going to say that the reason he takes down his streams is because he's unhinged, and then not even 10 seconds later, I don't know why he takes them down. So you just made up an act. You just claimed you know why he takes them down, and then you backtrack on it. Like, that's record time flip-flopping. That's crazy. We might as well just start calling Cenk Mitt Romney.
Found these, and so this is December of 2020. Okay, so this state secret that apparently that was going to get blackmailed, etc. Jimmy had already admitted. Watch.
One time I was in a news studio, and I won't say who did this, but someone wore such a short. No. Anyway.
You gave me a dirty look last week when I mentioned that. I thought it was funny.
I'm just saying. I've seen newscasters' naked asses in.
So this video is supposed to show that Jimmy is that the accusation against him, the one of, which by the way, It's funny how this has the reverse effect where it's supposed to be incriminating of him, but it proves that his recollection 6 months later, when he did the stream revealing this, was consistent with what actually happened because he brought it up, over half a year earlier. So he's trying to say that this is more proof that he's admitted to this and this wasn't made up. It's like, no, this is proof that the incident that he's talking about occurred, not all these other harassment things that Anna alleges. Marco says, I'm against censorship too, but I don't like hypocrisy. I mean, look, this is the problem with this, right? There are people who actually think you should not have any of it. Like they don't think you should be able to ban people from your chat. They don't think you should be able to block somebody. And again, a lot of people who are pro non-censorship, they have views that you can't actually execute and it makes sense. Like, I shouldn't be able to come on here and do a stream called Cenk is a child predator with no proof. Because again, that's designed to slander this man and hurt his reputation. And it's going to get picked up and, accepted by people who already don't like him. So when there's misinformation and harassment, I don't support either of those. But if you're criticizing someone on the things they're talking about, that's fine by me.
In newsrooms, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying who's.
I think it was a nice news skirt.
Yes, a nice news skirt.
The only thing worse than a nice news skirt is a nice news thong.
A news thong. It's a news bikini. I'm doing the news in my news thong.
He's really playing this like it's this big expose. Wow.
Oh, boy.
Glenn also pretended that Jimmy was a principled person who was only talking about politics. Have you ever seen Jimmy? He's only talking about politics, and he never made it personal until Anna threatened to reveal this thing that Jimmy had revealed months ago. And why did Jimmy start making... And by the way, they were talking about Anna when they went into that spiel, okay? So it was not unclear.
So he's going to claim that we know that he was talking about Anna because I guess she was mentioned before that, but he's not going to play the full clip to show where they mention Anna and then talk about this unnamed person that wore this thong or whatever. So we're supposed to, and remember, this is a stream that is apparently not on YouTube anymore or behind a paywall. So we're supposed to take his word for it, the person who's part of the team that's slandering this man, that he's talking about Anna. Even though, again, if he has the clip, I don't know why he doesn't play the whole thing if Anna's name gets mentioned. Probably because she doesn't. Again, we'll never know because he chose to play a piece of it. Oh, my God.
Who he was referring to. It wasn't any random person at TYT, right? They were talking about Anna, and then they say all that. So if he's only talking
if that's true, why doesn't he play the whole goddamn clip?
About politics, why is he already trying to humiliate her? And as you see here, again, this is not a long time ago. This is now. And they're having the time of their life. Like she's doing news. Nah, we're going to attack her and pretend that she's this and that and that she's here for our sexual amusement. You people sicken me. But now Glenn says, I don't see it.
I'm just going to keep remembering when he said that there was something wrong with chicks that weren't having sex with him and he was in a sea of tits. But okay, I'm so disgusted you would objectify her in this way. This is feminist Me Too movement proponent Cenk speaking.
I don't know. Here, watch.
People who have no evidence just throwing around these words trying to attach it to that person. That person is a groomer. That person is an abuser. That person harasses. That person is emotionally toxic. And instantly their reputation is destroyed. No evidence is required.
No evidence.
There is no evidence. No recordings. No other witnesses. Like, why is it so? Think about this, right? If he did this over and over again, you don't think Anna would have recorded it? She would have told somebody else about it before this past month, almost 2 years after he left the company. No proof. Like, if someone was harassing me, especially if it's sexual, because that would be even weirder, I would have evidence. Like, if I do a video where I talk about my online harassment, I have screenshots of people writing gross stuff about my physical appearance or some other like weird thing they said, right? So I don't understand if this happened over and over again. Why does she have no proof? Is it really hard to get this happened during the camera era? Like, look, if I was getting harassed by somebody, like they're coming up and saying nasty stuff to me over and over, because you always get a pass if it happens one time, right? Like, you can infer the person wouldn't just have a camera on, start rolling. But if somebody was harassing me over and over again, I'd find a way to record it. I want to have proof when we start making accusations.
He said it over and over and over again, full well knowing there was tremendous evidence that the guy he's defending had already said it.
See, tremendous evidence, right? The only evidence they have is that Dore admitted to one incident where he said something he apologized for. They don't have a single shred of goddamn proof that this man was a serial harasser. All the rest is just word of mouth from Anna.
Whatever Glenn was, he's certainly not a journalist anymore. So, one more time.
It's like, who is Cenk to say who's a journalist and who isn't? What accolades has he achieved? Like, this is what I'm talking about. He does this weird gatekeeping. If you don't agree with me on this, you're not an actual journalist. Then, if you don't agree with me on this, you're not an actual progressive. Like, who are you to determine any of that?
So when I did that, so she got really mad. She got humiliated. Her face turned red. She tried to insult me back, and it just fell flat. And she looked, bad.
She looked bad. By the way, that's a different clip. He said it 4 different times. I don't want to show you every time, right? But in the second version of events, he's like, "Oh,
what other women?" The only thing I've seen of other chicks was Emma Vigeland during one of the Sam Cedar. I think he wants to be Jimmy's, second spouse. He's done over 41 videos about this man. And during the video, they were talking about how supposedly women had come forward to Emma to say that Dore did this. But again, no one ever shows any, I could literally come out today and say, I have had men come to me and said that, I don't know, Cenk said gross things to them. But who are these men? What did he say? Is there any proof? No proof. let's just believe it because we don't like this person, so we have to, any nasty thing you can make up about them, we'll support it.
After I humiliated her, she said something back to me because she's a strong woman who didn't tolerate that nonsense. So, but it wasn't as funny as my news skirt line because I'm a comedian. By the way, where's the joke in that? Where's the news skirt joke? No, it's just to degrade someone. There's no joke other than the degradation, right? But she wasn't as funny as I think I am. By the way, let me just note for the record, I feel sick about all of this because I saw Jimmy during the break sometimes, and I thought this is just some rapport they had or something. Not just with the Ron Placones of the world, but with Steph. Yell at her that she didn't yell at that she didn't laugh at his jokes enough. And we've all seen it. The stage crew, so we all saw
All right,
it.
This is good. Okay, let me play a little bit more.
Why didn't you laugh at my joke? People won't think it's funny if you don't laugh at it. Well, maybe it wasn't funny, Jimmy.
So this is now the second accusation. The first one was by Anna. She claims that Dore harassed her over and over. Cenk is claiming that Dore would yell at his wife for not laughing at his joke. And what do these two things have in common, right? They're designed to smear somebody, and they both have no proof. And third thing they have in common, they only come about after Dore has spent months criticizing the individuals. And so this is his false act. See, he's not a woman's, and he knows he can't get people to believe that Dore harassed another man in this manner. So he has to pretend he saw this abusive behavior. If it were actually abusive, he would have said something. You run the company, so that's why we don't believe in it.
And by the way, you'll see it going forward. The fake laughs. This is filled with nonstop fake laughs because Jimmy psychologically abuses these people. And that's why I'm mad at myself. You see that? I should have fired him right away. That's not a firing offense, but I should have known. That's a bad guy. That's a bad guy. He's wonderful to us, right? Why? Why is he great to me? He would give me gifts and stuff because I'm the boss. But when I'm not in the room, I'm looking up people's skirts, et cetera, et cetera. But I saw the Steph thing, and I should have known what kind of a disgusting character he is. You better laugh at my non-jokes, right? But Glenn can't tell. I don't know.
Man, I would think if you saw this happen over and over again, you would have recorded it or had some kind of proof, or maybe actually fired him, because let's not forget what Cenk said in April of 2019? I love Jimmy Dore. It's I love the person who I claim to have seen yell at his wife about not you see how this stuff doesn't make sense? Because at least with Anna, people can say that they didn't publicly see her, praise Dore that often or whatever. That's one of the things they're using as proof that she is telling the truth. But we've seen Cenk openly gush about his admiration for Dore all the way up until this man left the company. Even after that, because remember, Cenk went on Dore's show when he ran for Congress and got 5-0'd. But this stuff doesn't make sense if you look at the videos that are on the channel and you use some basis of just chronological events. It does not make sense for Cenk after Dore left the company to say that he loves Dore, a man who we're now supposed to believe after he said he loved Dore, he had also seen yell at his wife for not laughing at his joke. The guy who wants to have I don't even want to mention that on here. And even cried when he said how he loves Jimmy. Yeah. Who believes this? And again, you don't even have, all you have to do is just look at what's publicly available, the timing of this stuff, and it doesn't add up. And his accusation's even more ridiculous because I could almost, if you wanted to spin it, right, you could say, oh, Anna had these harassing things from Dore. She didn't really talk about Dore, period. But then, he was really nice to Cenk. They had a good rapport. I'm supposed to believe you sought this man's help for him to come on your show, do an interview with you when you ran for Congress, had him on your on TYT for years, and to where even after he leaves, you say you love him. After seeing him yell at his wife for not laughing at his joke, we're really supposed to be oh, that makes sense. That's all stuff somebody who would do when after they see someone shout at their wife over not laughing at their joke.
No, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? And then he says at the end, she looked bad. Yeah, I guess Glenn agrees. The victim looked bad my poor beloved friend, who is not emotionally toxic, okay, was the victim here. Jimmy's the victim. Look, you guys are seeing all the videos for yourselves. So if you think Jimmy's the victim, great, have at it, okay? I never want to see you guys. Don't watch the show. You control. I don't care about any of it. Unlike some other people, we don't care about theoretically lost subscribers or any of that. By the way, none of it is true. You can tell who's bots based on the percentage of people watching, and our viewership is as high as it's ever been.
That's hilarious. But no, I would never unsubscribe from TYT because they make goofy videos I go and laugh at. Like a lot of people who watch someone they don't like, it's like to make fun of them, like it's like it's really hilarious. Like some of the stuff they say, like when he made the video where during it he tried to say that Joe Rogan was afraid to have him on because it would piss off his right-wing audience, and he's only been on there one time, and all these other people have been on there. It's like, do you really think we're so just he says things that I think are actually funny, like comedy. Like I don't take the political commentary that serious because it's goofy and it's paid for by a guy that gave him $20 million. But yeah, I wouldn't unsubscribe ever because this is you see a clown, you laugh. You don't run away from it.
It's all a mirage. It's all a fraud. Some people get jittery over it. Oh my God, I lost. I'm so sorry, Jimmy. You want to be in that cult? Go be in that cult. You disgust me. Okay.
Dude, he's doing so much grandstanding and moral high ground. And every time they don't like somebody, they're a cult. Like they called it the Trump cult. Now there's the Jimmy cult. So that's the thing that happens when you watch them regularly. You start picking up on certain like recurring themes that they have. So if they don't like you, you're doing this for views or for money, because that's what Anna alleged of him. Your what do you call it? Your opinions, they usually don't address what you're actually saying. More likely than not. But there's a lot of little recurring stuff they do to people. Like that cult line, they did the same thing to Trump. So if because people don't agree with them or their accusations that have only come about after this man has criticized their company, they're part of a cult. And it's like, wouldn't I be part of a cult if I said, well, I've been subscribed to the Young Turks longer, so let me just believe what they have to say. And when he says that they're getting their highest views ever, guys, if you have 5 million subscribers and you can't break 500,000 views a video, that's pathetic. Like, I guarantee you, every video they have with Jimmy, actually, we know this for a fact, it always gets more views than the rest of their stuff. Like, it's not coincidental. Let me finish this thing. I'm sick of him.
So now, I mentioned earlier, Glenn's become a right-winger. And you say, well, no. Or maybe he just doesn't believe in sexual harassment at large. Now, he says, oh, sometimes it happens. Sometimes, I guess. But listen what he said here about an unrelated case.
I remember the Assad assets thing. That was they used that against Tulsi.
Look what they did to Brett Kavanaugh with no evidence.
There was no evidence in the Brett Kavanaugh case. We all saw it. Glenn, what's wrong with you? But that lie doesn't even make any sense. We all saw it on national television. You saw Christine Blasey Ford. You saw her recounted. You saw the whole thing. We covered the test. Everybody covered the testimony.
All right, so just to go over the Kavanaugh thing again, the reason I leaned into, and again, that issue was so irritating because progressives should have actually opposed that man based off of his views on issues. Like I remember when he first got nominated that I think it was Kyle mentioned that he takes the position with corporations 70% of the time, something like that, right? But the reason I believed it was because they asked Kavanaugh if he would consent to an investigation. And he kept saying over and over, we've been through 6 of them by, I think it was the FBI, some other organization. And he just kept like not directly answering if he would consent to, this 7th investigation. But again, actual physical evidence, like a testimony is not proof. I could literally say, Anna touched me. And then, because we live in the same state, you go to some courthouse and they're like, okay, where's your proof? Well, 10 years ago, when I was 13, I saw Anna at the grocery store. It's like, okay, that's a nice little sob story, but where's the proof? Again, there wouldn't be any. Nobody would believe me. And they shouldn't.
But apparently now Glenn thinks, no, there's no evidence against poor Brett Kavanaugh. Now you're beginning to get a sense of what happened to Glenn. Okay? It's not me, it's him. He's saying it. Okay. Last one from Glenn about Anna.
What Anna Kasparian did here with that little message, I've not said this about you, I've kept it to myself, but now that you're criticizing us, that's all going to change. That is grotesque. That is ethically repugnant. But it is also commonplace in liberal left politics.
Commonplace in liberal left politics. So apparently we're all guilty. Brett Kavanaugh is innocent. Jimmy Dore is innocent. But Anna is grotesque and morally repugnant.
I agree. Anyways, let me address this 3LD person. What videos did I do bashing the squad? And also, are you saying that you're not leftist if you criticize? Like, are they above criticism? If you criticize them, does that automatically make you right wing? I'd love to know. And what does making excuses for the right even mean? Like maybe you can actually type out something that explains your position instead of talking in riddles. Because we're not. I'm not playing Arkham City right now. I actually like when people can tell me what they're talking about, what they're speaking on. Like if I do a stream that's an hour and a half long, it's designed for people to actually say what they're talking about and not have these like weird comments that don't articulate what their position is to where anybody else can understand it.
Guys, you all get to make a choice here. And if you say, yeah, I agree with Glenn, go have at it, Hoss. But it says something about you if you can't tell who's the morally repugnant one in this story. By the way, again, with the she's grotesque. Go ahead.
She got humiliated in the middle of the newsroom, and I did it.
No evidence, right? So even after people pointed out, hey,
and
Glenn,
it's like they'll do a segment like this and with a straight face actually think he's saying something that makes sense. Like Dore admitting that an incident happened is not the evidence that is admissible to use for Anna's accusation that he's a repeated offender. That's still something she is saying with no corroboration by him or anybody else. What is my take on Dore? I'm pro Dore. That's been very apparent from the other stream I did on this.
Wait a minute, this doesn't look right. Of course there's evidence. Even the Jimmy's fans, everybody's seen it. Everybody's seen the evidence over and over again. Glenn put out a statement, quote, in the video, I made clear that I have absolutely no opinion on whether Dore behaved inappropriately in the way that Kasparian claims. I can't judge that. He has absolutely no idea what happened. He just can't judge it at all. One more time.
She got humiliated in the middle of the newsroom, and I did it.
But Glenn, the great journalist, can't figure out who did it. He has absolutely no idea what happened. Going forward, guys, buyer beware. When you read Glenn or you watch him, you have no idea what he's hiding from you. I mean, if he could hide this overwhelming evidence and never mention it and keep saying, I don't know if it happened, but implying that it didn't happen. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. Even if you agree with his interpretation of Jimmy's comments, and if you say, hey, go get him, Jimmy, we'll look up everybody's skirt and do it at work, it's great, I love it. And you're right wing or left wing, it doesn't matter, right? But you can't say that Glenn didn't know what happened. Glenn knows exactly what happened.
No, he doesn't, because even though one incident has been corroborated by both sides, there are still variations of it. If one person is saying that everybody laughed and the other one is saying that barely anyone laughed and she told him off, then it's not the same, but whatever. 3LD says, I'm saying Dore and Greenwald spend more time bashing Democrats, right-wing dictators, and right-wingers like Tulsi than holding the right. Wait, how? If they're bashing right-wing dictators and right-wingers, then how are they not holding the right accountable? Maybe you made a mistake. I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but your comment says that they're holding right-wing dictators and right-wingers. They're spending more time doing that than holding the right accountable. Aren't they part of the right? Again, maybe you wrote it wrong or I read it wrong, but that looks a little bit off to me. And I'm not saying that to embarrass you. That's just the way I read that. It was a little confusing. Let me get back to this.
Okay, last thing is this, guys. People change. And so, God knows I've changed. So when Cernovich found those old blogs and people go back to old videos and stuff, I cringe at that stuff. And I've apologized for it, by the way, probably now with the original Justice Democrat controversy, with when I ran for office, and now I've probably apologized dozens of times for it. You know why? Because, and I deleted those blogs 15 years ago. Why? Because I don't believe it anymore. And that's embarrassing. And I wish I hadn't said that. See how easy it is to say that, right? And I hope that I've changed for the better, right? I don't know if Jimmy was always this way, and now I'm worried that he was, right? And I didn't see it. Glenn, I thought was a great journalist. And either he wasn't, and all those old stories, I have no idea what he hid and didn't hide, right? Or he changed. Now, it's up to you guys again, one last time, to make the decision. Who changed for the better? Who changed for the worse? All right. Going forward, we're going to do a news show. Every day, we do tons and tons of stories that you should know about. I'll give you one quick example, asset recycling. That's selling off the country piece by piece. It's an infrastructure deal. Trump wanted to do it. Biden is actually executed in the bipartisan plan. You should know about that, but I can give you dozens of these examples, and we do every day on the show. But you could tune into these clowns, these alt-left guys who are just constantly talking about their feelings and accusing every.
See, this is another part that's what does he mean by talking about? Like, if you're a political commentator and you discuss what you don't like about something, why you don't like it, you're talking about your feelings, because your feelings are why you have the opinion that you do. Like, it's so weird, all this like moral high ground stuff. We actually talk about the news. It's like, well, I mean, why does it, like, if I did, let's say I was some big channel, right? And somebody made a video where they discussed how in my reporting I had said something that was incorrect or wrong. Let's say you go to that person's channel, they don't talk about the news every day. But does that automatically mean that their criticisms of me are invalid, that they shouldn't be taken seriously or at least given a chance to be heard out? Like, you see how it's kind of this weird skipping of logic that you have to somehow also discuss the news every day in order to be taken seriously as a commentator who is addressing another commentator. It's really weird.
Everybody in their path of being disloyal to Jimmy Dore. Why? Why does anybody have to be loyal to that monster, that clown? What a sad.
The same monster and clown that you had working for you for years. See, this is the dirtbag stuff. Like, you have this person working with you for the longest time, right? And then they start to criticize your company for the positions that it takes on issues. And then instead of addressing what he's saying and proving to everybody that he's incorrect, we shouldn't listen to him, by matter of debate, you instead resort to smear tech, because it's not just one smear anymore. First they said, oh, he went after Anna and, was harassing her over and over again. And now Cenk is claiming in this upload that Dore repeatedly would yell at his wife. And what do those two smears have in common? They've only come out after Dore's been criticizing their company repeatedly, and they both have no proof.
State of affairs. If you're in that camp, good luck. And I believe in change. I believe in redemption, and I hope you change. But if you don't want to, that's your business. But,
you believe in change, redemption. It's too bad your little friendly company didn't when they threw you out after less than a year after you founded them. Good old Justice Democrats, huh?
But he says they're always done with it. But God knows what other toxic thing they're going to make up next. But for now, this is the end of this chapter.
Toxic thing they're going to make up next. You're the one you guys are the only ones alleging stuff about the other side. Dore didn't say anybody touched him. Dore didn't say anybody harassed him. Dore didn't say that he saw somebody yell at their wife. These are toxic things they're going to make up next. They're literally the ones alleging toxic things against anybody.
And it's certainly the end of any respect I had for Glenn Greenwald, who's become a very, very sad embarrassment.
Oh, he said the same thing about Dore. He said that he was a sad, weak man during the video he made responding to the initial. So that, again, more recurring stuff that they use against people they don't like.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks.
Oh, I don't feel thanked at all. I feel ashamed. All right. Here is my core issue with this judgment. We can dunk all we want on TYT or Cenk. That doesn't make Jimmy right. Let's stop the BS when our enemies do it. It's bad, but when friends do it, we cheer. You either have a standard or you don't. Well, again, I've made jokes that I guess might have rubbed someone the wrong way. And if you apologize for it, and then, for 6-7 years, nothing is said of it, and then you come out and criticize this person's company, and only then is that joke used to be weaponized against you along with some unsubstantiated claims, like, you should have a problem with that, because now anytime someone says something or does something that might be considered crass among people that they'll let their guard down because they consider them to be friends, that person is subject to use it and twist it to be something worse than it actually was. Again, if Anna was truly gone after by this supposed harasser of Dore, she would have told Cenk. TYT showed when they fired Jordan Sheridan, they have no problem throwing, no matter what your contributions are to that company, if you're not the big two, Anna or Cenk, you can get tossed out like a piece of garbage. What a childish bully. Strings of Peace says, Chunk still not apologize for McCarthy smear. Yeah. And that's my point, that, like, when they actually talk about policy, they act like buffoons. Like, we have a video of Cenk from 2013 talking about supporting bombing Syria. He was on the segment with Anna where she implicated Aaron Matei as getting paid by, what was it, the Syrian government to make up the claim that Assad wasn't gassing his own people. And hell, I don't even like Richard Medders. That's the guy that does, because he made a video talking trash about Ro Khanna, and Ro Khanna is one of the few people in Congress that actually has accomplished anything. But they did a segment on him too, where they were trying to smear him as well, claiming that, he's working for the Syrian government. He can't just not like having his own country get, talk trash about by these people. Like, anytime you are against the Young Turks' position, they will do the moral high standing. They smear you. It's the same 3 repeated things over and over. And they're upset because nobody is believing it. Like, again, I've never seen a secular talk video with 17,000 downvotes. But yeah, Kyle was talking all hard. If somebody said that about my girlfriend or my wife or my mother, it would take everything I have to not beat them. I was like, man, go sit down. Nobody's scared of you. And it's like, nobody is talking about his wife or his girl, whatever the hell. They're talking about a woman who made an allegation with no proof that people aren't believing because of its timing. And then she's like doubling down on it and having her boss get on here and try to play the morality police, even though he's the same person who wrote that he was drowning in a sea of tits and women were mentally ill because they weren't having sex with him. And that's your defender of chicks? That's the guy who just preached to us for an hour and a half about, well, I guess it's a 30-minute video, but for the last hour, I've been listening to try to pretend that he's the morality police. He gets to tell you who's a harasser and who isn't. You lied about Aaron Matei. Russiagate is manufactured for hostility with nuclear power. This is stupid. Who lied about him? I didn't lie about him. I defended him. If Aaron Matei sued TYT, would they use the same defense used by Madeline Carlson? Oh, yeah, all that misinformation. And, that's the other thing he talked about. He's like, Dore threatened to sue Anna or anybody else that comes out. And it's like, what do you expect him to do? Like, you really believe that someone who has, let's just put it like it is, money to spend, is not going to sue a person who is on a channel with 5 million subscribers, alleging that he harassed her without proof only after he criticizes said channel with 5 million subscribers? Like, that he really tried to frame that as a bad thing. Like, oh, this person's supposed to be able to make this up about me or say this about me. And if I believe it's incorrect, I'm not allowed to go after them for attempting to destroy my reputation. Yeah, they're psychotic bullies, of course. But again, they know that they can't actually refute Dore on any issues. So they have to start playing this game of and that's why I never really liked the Me Too stuff, period, because coming out 10, 15, 12, 30 plus years to say someone did something to you already is kind of weird. But every time it's used, it's always at some inopportune time for it's always sketchy based off of when it shows up. You know, like if she made this claim right after Dore left the Young Turks, while Dore was still working for T, because he tried to say in this video, well, Anna didn't want to see this man lose his job. Oh, what a great, nice person Anna is, and she curses people out online and tells them that she's better than them in a clip that went viral. But if she was so concerned about him not losing his job over her, she could have said that he touched her or violated her, whatever, last year, the year before that, because he's been gone for 2 years, but she didn't, because these accusations are meant to combat, and they're doing a terrible job of this, by the way, the claims, or rather the criticisms that Dore has made against the company based on the political positions of its host. Cenk is full of it. That's why he doesn't have any fans. Every time you go to his video, the whole comment section is people making fun of him. I do give some women the side eye when they come out 10 or 15 years later claiming that, well, there's a big difference between like violating someone. Like, listen, people can tell you that like, what's the adjective? What's the phrase? Sticks and stones may break my bones, or words will never hurt me. People don't want to admit this, but there's a big difference between putting your hands on somebody and saying something. There just is. And if what he said was so violating to her, I very much doubt that she would have kept that to herself for 7 years and only bring it up after he criticizes the company based off of their political positions. Again, no matter what way you slice this up, it doesn't make sense. Oh, look at me, I'm Cenk. Yeah, Jimmy was yelling at his wife, and we were also disgusted by this, and I should have fired him right then and there. And then you watch his video. Remember, this video is filmed after Dore leaves or after he leaves. And remember the context of Dore yelled at his wife, and this disgusted Cenk. So what does he say in the video? I love Jimmy Dore. So you love the person who, according to you before that, you saw yell at his wife over and over for not laughing at his joke. No, he made that up. The Young Turks plus, yeah, if your comment gets held, that's like you're putting the curse word. I'm not actually deleting anybody's stuff, so to just clarify, the Young Turks plus Sam Cedar plus Pac-Man plus Kyle equals the BS bandwagon. And we just put that on the shirt and just have like Cenk's picture, Kyle's picture, Sam Cedar's picture. What's the other one? Oh, come on. Pac-Man is nowhere near. You know what? Pac-Man's the only one of these people who is actively trying to avoid. Because look, like there's a big difference between Pac-Man and Sam Cedar. There just is. Like Pac-Man hasn't made 41 videos talking trash about Jimmy. The only time Pac-Man ever says anything about Dore is if he criticizes him. That's why Pac-Man's the only one of these people I have a modicum of respect left for, because he actively is avoiding this drama. He's trying to stay out of it. And he runs a real news show. You don't see any segments of him from 10 years ago talking about camel toe and let's look at these naked women's pictures on my website, which is what the Young Turks had in the videos from 2009, 2008, 2010. So no, Pac-Man is not part of that. I don't agree. We have numerous cases of women being by the same guy and don't come forward until years later after someone goes public first. That's opportunistic, but doesn't mean it's wrong. Well, listen, in a hypothetical situation where I have a channel with 800,000 subscribers and I criticize a channel that I used to work for that has 5 million, and then the co-host who worked with me for 6, 7, 8 years comes out and says that I was harassing her over and over again, I would look at that and say that's a little sketchy. That looks fishy. That's something that, you know, the circumstances of when it takes place, and also the fact that there's no proof should call these accusations into question. Because remember, their proof is Jimmy admitting that there was one instance of him doing something, saying something she didn't like and then apologizing for it. And then the response to that is, oh, yeah, see, he confirmed all these other. No, the proof is one incident versus her accusations of multiple ones. Imagine if Steven Crowder and Jimmy Dore teamed up to crush TYT's existence permanently. Well, they already are crushing themselves. Like, again, go in their comment section and see how many people are actually agreeing with them and are saying how smart the hosts are. You never see it. It's a bunch of people making fun of him, laughing at how ridiculous. Like for Kyle, the only video he's ever made that I've seen loads of downvotes on was the one on Jimmy. He actually has an audience that cares, and at least he did anyway, an audience that cares because he's been losing like thousands of stuff. Like he went from 977,000 to like 972 or 71. So he for the most part has an audience that like cares about him or actually thinks he's smart. But that's not the case with TYT. Their comment section is the nastiest one toward them I've ever seen. Like their own supporters, I can't even tell who actually likes them anymore. And again, Cenk misrepresents because a lot of people do watch someone that they don't like just to giggle at them. So he's like, I don't care if we lose subscribers. Like, you won't lose any, you'll gain some because this is your most viewed video in a while. We didn't want to respond to this. Yeah. That's why you guys are running your mouth on Twitter, right? Because remember, Anna didn't get inserted into the like forced to vote or any of this other stuff until she said something about Dore. He wasn't talking about her. Not his co-host, or if not boss, has higher status than Dore. Exactly. That's what Dore was talking about when he said that Anna booked him for shows. I'm going to keep booking the person who supposedly harassed me because that makes sense. Daniel Ryan says TYT is the Fox News 11. No, one of my mods said that TYT is MSNBC after hours. They're MSNBC if like they were a little bit more like if they're willing to pretend that Sanders is who they're like so in favor of, and if they could swear on the air. What is that? Phenomenal Mysticism says a lot of TYT's videos are sustained by hate. Yeah. But literally go in any TYT comment section and they're laughing at them. Like he was talking about those clowns. Like TYT is literally the circus of left-wing news. No other, I don't even like Sam Cedar, but I'll freely admit his audience likes him. I don't like Vosh, but I'll freely admit his audience likes him. TYT is the only major left-wing channel I have seen where the whole audience is going, oh yeah, they made another video. Like they're jokes. They're just big jokes. They have 5 million subs because they were like the first like major left-wing group. Like I'll give them that accolade. But over the last 6-7 years, they're clowns. And Dore was able to escape a lot of it. Like when people laughed at TYT's meltdown over the 2016 election, that's mostly them laughing at Cenk and Anna. They're not laughing at Dore. He made like one comment that whole night on there when he was on their stuff. I didn't watch the whole Cenk answer to Greenwald. Did Cenk really said Anna wasn't Jimmy's boss? Yes. And he would never specify when. He admits that Anna became an executive producer, but he never says when. Because he just says later. It's like, when later? Again, if he specifies the date, then we can corroborate it with when Jimmy was working there. Because again, according to her, Jimmy kept harassing her over and over. And I would think if you're the boss of someone who's harassing you over and over, you're going to get rid of them. Unless, of course, he didn't do it. What you think about Crystal Ball's silence? Oh, it's cowardice. Like if I ran a left-wing show and I can't even come out and say, well, I might not like what Dore had to say about Anna, because that's like the people are trying to grandstand and like pretend they have the moral high ground. I would at least say it's screwed up to smear Aaron Matei and to now smear Glenn Greenwald. Glenn Greenwald easily trumps any of the hacks at the Young Turks in terms of journalistic integrity and accolades and actually changing the world. Like again, it's like Cenk actually said I used to think Glenn was a great journalist. Yeah. You're the decider of who's good and who isn't. MSNBC After Hours. You know what I find funny? Kyle didn't want to get involved, but he has Cenk's nephew on with Crystal to talk about the Jimmy thing. Yeah, Kyle's response to having Hassan on was that, well, Hassan is this big streamer. It's like, yeah, but Hassan is closely related to Cenk. He's where did he get his start? Not because one day he logged on Twitch and everybody loved him so much. No, he got his start on the Young Turks network. So having him on, and he also mentions the stuff with Dore during the show. So, like, I don't see how you have that person on there, and you're like, I can't believe people would look at this as being something that is antagonistic to Dore. It'd be different if they had, like, Cenk's cousin that we've never heard of before that's never been on the Young Turks. They have Hassan on there. Flagrant, Pacman, Crowder, Dice, Turks, Jones. Oh, here we go with that word again. I'm so tired of that. Every time somebody doesn't like somebody on the left, they always call him a grifter. They just spam that everywhere. Remember that the whole thing came about because Aaron was kidding Cenk, but he did not criticize him openly. He made a joke about Cenk's Sky Gods post. This all started over some Twitter stuff. No, Twitter is easily like the biggest, like basically drama from Twitter comes to YouTube or drama from YouTube comes to Twitter. Hassan said it was cool to say the N-word in private. I mean, you know, if he wants to do that, he can. So when these people get big enough, they can do whatever they want. TYT shifted left with Bernie. I don't know what's wrong with them. They don't like Cenk really made it sound like they're these accomplished people. Like all he's ever done is host a group that is now hated more so than it's liked. And you can look in their comment section as proof of that. Found a group of the Justice Democrats that regularly loses elections and kicked him out less than a year after it was founded over some old blog post. Run for office and get destroyed. Like I don't see where he's this big accomplished progressive superstar. Like hell, even AOC has more accolades than him, and she's been around not even one tenth as long as Cenk. Cenk's been hosting the Young Turks since I was 4 years old. So it's like, you know, this girl showed up and just completely smashed this no-name, this like top like even someone that just came around has more accolades than him. The hilarious thing is that Anna is now the new Dave Rubin in terms of how she and TYT is perceived. Oh, I remember when she was going after Dave. She made like 3 different segments on him. And it's weird too because you know what, Rubin is actually like the perfect contrast between like Dore because they're both former employees that work for the Young Turks, and Rubin like never criticized TYT directly or said anything about them, and the Young Turks went after him, and then Jimmy kept criticizing the Young Turks, and then TYT goes after him, but they go after Rubin on policy because it's easy to dispute what he says. And then they go after Dore by like having this weird, you know, smear that nobody can prove because it didn't happen. Because you know that's how accusations work now. You just say something, we're supposed to believe it. They really are like this crazy parallel about former employees from the Young Turks. Once they splinter off, they have these like terrible, toxic relationships with. It's really interesting. Cam, yeah, Diane. It's like you're gonna sit here and tell me about. I am now a defender of women and Dore is such a pervert. And then you over here showing naked women on your show and putting it on your website. And then Anna's going to talk about she doesn't like being disrespected. It's like you disrespected yourself. It's like you do a segment with a man. And you know, it's funny too, because I don't know who that lady was that that Dore had on his response, like the second video he made on this, the like, you know what I'm talking about, the hour and like 15-minute video he did. But she was like, well, maybe Anna felt pressure to make those. It's like, no, don't give her. That was a grown. You really, but I'm explaining this, how this works, right? With chicks being given a lot of benefits that men don't get. Anna started hosting the Young Turks when she was 20. Let me just say this. There is no way in hell that if I were to host the Young Turks starting at 20, I'm an adult, and I started doing segments with Cenk about women's camel toe and the naked pictures of them. We're going to blur out upon our website. Nobody would defend that and say it was pressure. They would say, look, he's laughing. But again, Anna's supposed to, she's the victim. She was made to host segments that, she chose the subjects of, by the way. And she was also made to withhold these accusations for years and only mustered up the courage after her company was getting criticized by the same guy who was apparently harassing her, even though she could have gotten him fired anytime she wanted to and kept booking him to her. Like, again, just keep putting this stuff together. It makes no sense. And the only people peddling it are people that already don't like Dore. Like, go to Vosh's channel, go to Sam Cedar's channel. It's the same thing everywhere. The people who believe this nonsense are people who already have a hate boner for Dore. They could have said that Dore was a werewolf, and these people have been like, yeah, see, we told you. There was something off about him. Kyle liked the edgy TYT way back. Well, again, it was funny to watch Kyle do the grandstanding too. If someone said something like that about my mother or my sister or my girlfriend, it would take everything I have to not beat him up, because now he's trying to be the new John Cena. And it's like we found or rather Jimmy showed the post where he was talking about if Cenk were to whack off on stream, the viewership would drop to 12. If Anna does it, it's 6,000. It's like, you can't write that and then pretend that you're so against objectifying women and talking about the way they look. Like, that's a joke. Like, again, was Dore's comment crass? Was it maybe not as eloquent as it should have been? Sure. But I don't see how he only talked about how this situation because she came in his DMs making a threat. And then Cenk will talk about, that wasn't a threat because she would have said, if you do this, I'll do this. It's like, no, that's an ultimatum. You can make a threat without telling someone like if I say, what's this guy's name? Pat Brannigan. If Pat Brannigan doesn't subscribe to my, I'll be like, I'm going to send Pat a DM. Pat, I know you haven't subscribed to my channel. Tomorrow I'm doing a video on you. Like, that's a threat. Like, you don't have to give him an ultimatum for it to be a threat. And he really was like, Cenk was a great actor in that video. He sounded like he believed everything he was saying, which is even more embarrassing. You have to be super on Kyle's side to not see through his BS. Well, again, Kyle's video had 17,000 downvotes. So, and you might say to yourself, oh, he's got 900,000 subs. But again, most subscribers are dormant. So when you see thousands that are just downvoting the hell out of your video, that should tell you something. You should go, wait, what in the world? Like, Kyle probably has an active maybe 100,000 people that watch his stuff, if I'm being nice. So 17,000 downvotes is really telling, and that's why he made that other video. Seriously, he has been around since 2009 or 2008. What, Jimmy? If you're saying Jimmy, that's why it's even crazier that they're sitting here acting like. And remember, this act is Anna started working for what do you call it? The not the Young Turks. I know when she started working there, but she started as a teacher, professor, and as a professor in 2013. So we know that if her accusation is to be believed, if this incident, because let's just say the incident happened, right? But we'll use Jimmy's version of it. At least 2013, the earliest this could have happened. And he leaves the company in 2019. So in this 6-year period, she never tells her boss, never tries to get rid of him. And if you add the 2 years from when he's been not with the company, that is 8 years. So in this 8-year period, she never said anything until he started criticizing her company. Then suddenly she remembered how he had abused her so. Poor Anna. Don't blackmail me. Send you a DM. I remember when they were doing that to Bernie on the presidential campaign. And I remember one of TYT's videos was really funny. They had John Adirola on there, and he was saying that these people act like Bernie is in their DMs on Instagram cursing them out. You better subscribe. You better vote for me. And I'm just imagining just Sanders with this phone, with this menacing look. He takes off his glasses and starts typing something evil. But, TYT occasionally would make some decent jokes, but they've turned into a joke. They went from making jokes to being like a laugh track on a sitcom. It's like, hey, let's go watch the Young Turks. The clowns I never liked are showing their true colors. They are there for glory, not beliefs. Well, again, they're all part of a team. And Dore left the team and started criticizing people within the group. And once he started doing that, and they realized, oh, damn, we can't actually refute what he's saying. How are we going to make him lose credibility? I know. We'll me to him. Yeah. Anna, you're a woman, right? Yeah. So you come out and you say this. Telling you, all the people who believe this stuff already didn't like. Dore is not hurt by this at all. Like, his name is getting used more and more places, but all the people who are actually like running with this, I checked their channels. If they have videos on Dore in the past, it was them already like talking trash about him. The left needed to ask, why does no leftist commentator besides Convo, Couch, Jimmy, Bree, and a few more advocate for general strikes and other progressive grassroots actions? Well, see, that's why a lot of people piss me off when they start saying that Dore's not productive, because he mentions repeatedly he doesn't expect a few members of Congress, referring to Justice Democrats, to be able to like make all these other people vote for stuff. But if they were shutting down streets with protests, if they were picketing in front of, Pelosi and Schumer's offices as a collective group, getting thousands of people over these different locations, they could actually change something. And, they don't want to do this stuff because they want to curry favor with the leadership of their party. They want to, like, you're going to see AOC sit in the House for 5 terms, if not 10. She'll be there for 20 years. And they'll still be like, well, don't worry, when we get member 30 of the Justice Democrats, that's when things are really going to change. And, they'll say, oh, you're not realistic. You can't do this overnight. But it's like, you guys sit here and talk about how things need to be different. The whole point of Sanders' campaign was that things need to change now. And you're going to tell me to wait until 2050 for you to pass anything. That is insane. With all due respect, I don't think so. I want everyone to be raised up fighting on a leveling field. The right, who consider themselves populists, do not want this as a general rule. Oh, okay, you're talking to Kerry. I'm not really. I read a little bit what Kerry was writing. Jimmy on Fox News, the best thing for dude. That's hilarious when he was like, if Glenn Greenwald was truly a leftist, why is he going on Fox News? They did the same thing to Ro Khanna. Well, I think it was either, it was last year because it was in the COVID saga era or whatever, where he went on Fox on Tucker's show, and there were left wing people on Twitter. How dare you go on Tucker's show and give credibility to blah, blah, blah. Like, they'll use the fact that you go to the outlets that invite you to smear you. Like, imagine, like, if I get invited to go on Fox News, but I don't get invited to go on CNN or MSNBC, you're damn right I'm going on Fox News. Like, who is trying to turn out their message, right? And is not going to go to the bigger outlets to address it. And again, David Pakman went on Fox News before. I think he's been on there twice. And Kyle went on Fox News before. But see, they're not attacking the Young Turks, so they get to go on these different outlets. But if you're like saying something negative against the Turks, you're not allowed to go on Fox. You can't get your message out with people who don't agree with you, or else you're part of that crew. Yeah, Cenk gets to decide who's a journalist and who's actually fighting for people. He's the decider of whether you're left wing or whether you're toxic and whether you're part of a cult. We should just go and appoint him emperor of every label because he gets to decide it. Jimmy and Glenn go on Fox News because Tucker allows them to spread their message to his audience with little pushback. Why would they not? Yeah. But like I said, Kyle and Pakman have gone on Fox, and I've never seen, I even saw, I think Cenk made a he did make because he said that they called Kyle the Kyle driver. So if you're not criticizing the Young Turks, you can go on whatever network you like. But if you criticize them, you better keep your butt on MSNBC. Or CNN. The fraud squad is actively working against us. Well, I already gave an example of the stuff that Dore wants if you actually listen to him. Because what he wants really was not that hard for people with their fame and power to do. And especially when there's this many of them, like if it was one person, right, I would be like, all right, well, this one person's trying. It's because that was the thing they said about Sanders. He was the only progressive person in Congress. But he still managed to do a little bit of stuff, and that's why he's significant. But it's like you guys have multiple members of the House, and like things are no different than they were 10 years ago. You still don't have the Green New Deal. You still don't have a single payer. You still don't have the $15 minimum wage nationally. And whether you agree with these positions or not, this is stuff that they said they wanted that supposedly electing these people to Congress would cause to happen. And none of it is occurring. Every time you elect one of these progressives to Congress from that wave of Justice Democrats, they act the same way as any other Democrat. When that impeachment was going on, all of them were talking about impeaching Trump. When they were like trash talking him about North Korea, most of them were on board with like the same kind of criticisms. Like, it's so weird. They really want you to believe in this stuff. Yeah, the fraud squad is voting exactly like corporate Dems with the explanation. You saw it with the CARES Act, where all of them voted for that damn thing. But like, there are people who believe that the squad is above criticism, and the squad's members are mostly chicks. So they use their gender shield of being women to now say that Dore is sexist. And oh my God, he's going so hard on this woman politician. When he's made videos about Trump, about Obama, about Biden, he called Biden, what was it, a death rattle? Like those types of segments are not something that's going to get brought up by these people because they're trying to smear Dore as being this sexist person, even though they'll freely admit that he, was very nice towards Tulsi. It's like he's so sexist that he has this woman that he was defending. He can't just be criticizing them on not doing something, because remember, I don't know if people saw this, but he had Roe come back on his show after Roe voted for the CARES Act, and he was getting mad at him and telling him off to his face. But see, they don't talk about stuff like that because it's not convenient to their, to using the gender shield. When you think about it, it's no wonder that the Justice Democrats don't do anything. Makes sense when they were founded by Kyle and Cenk. He is so sexist. He helped them all get elected. Yeah, he's so sexist that he helped AOC get elected, and then she disappeared and never came on his show again after getting elected. She'll go on the Young Turks, but she won't go on Jimmy's show. And remember, she knows he exists because she did an interview with him before she got elected. Like with Omar and Presley and the rest of them, you can at least say, all right, well, they've never been on this show. Maybe they don't know he exists, because I don't expect, left-wing politicians to know who every left-wing commentator is. But we know that AOC knows who Jimmy is because she went on his show before getting elected, and, she won't go back on there. Imagine how strong you have to be as one of the most powerful people in the United States by virtue of being a member of Congress to be afraid to go on somebody's show. You're afraid to sit in front of the camera and answer some questions. That's your kryptonite. I really want to get like a green, like just something that's green and shaped like a rock and put like write the word Jimmy Dore on it. And if you ever see AOC in person, just like hold it next to her and see if she starts melting. Dude, the only one of those progressive politicians that is still in Congress that will go on Jimmy's show multiple times, Ro Khanna. That's the only one. Everybody else too afraid. Bernie's too afraid. Omar's too afraid. All the rest of them are running away from that show. The squad so far is the biggest disappointment of the 21st century. Well, again, it's like, these people champion activism, right? They talk about wanting things to change. You have to have movements from the outside, and then they get inside, and then they just basically tell the outside, "Oh no, you don't understand how things work. Never mind, go away." It's like, no, you got elected because of people from the outside. Organize a movement as a member of Congress with an even bigger platform. Like, we know they know how to do it. They just don't want to because they want to be friends with Pelosi. Remember AOC called Pelosi Mama Bear? Damn, the weakest politicians in the world. They don't do anything. Yeah, champion the DNC. Oh, I hope what is Strings of Peace, right? He was watching The Big Lebowski. Yeah, well, that's just your opinion, man. No, you know I'm not making it up. You can go type in AOC Pelosi Mama Bear and you'll see where she said that. It's like that. That's and you'll notice a lot of these left wing people, right, who say they support, $15 minimum wage, not bombing anywhere. When they get around people that do that stuff, they act very nice. Like when Anna did the interview with Madeleine Albright, complete tongue bath. Didn't challenge her on a single. Like I wouldn't even gotten upset if she smiled in the picture with her because I expect, as the decorum of being a journalist, for you to like act cordial with people you're interviewing. But she didn't ask her anything like, you regret doing that? Nothing. Just, you finally, it just feels like when you watch Anna year after year talk about all these screwed up things that politicians from both parties are doing, and then she finally gets in front of one of the ones that did bad stuff, admittedly before her era, but still we have the effects of to this day. Tongue bath, no criticisms, no pushback, nothing. It's like it's the most anticlimactic thing ever. They need to take Anna's interview with Madeleine and edit that, like all the countries that Albright like oversaw bombings and killings in, right? Take segments of TYT of Anna criticizing U.S. policy on those countries, and then play Anna's interview at the end of it, like make it a movie, like a 2-hour film of Anna just talking about all these wars that she's so opposed to. But then you finally get in front of one of the people that was involved with this stuff, and then it's, oh, how are you? It was such a pleasure to interview you. It's like, what? Imagine after all the videos I did about Yemen, I get in front of Obama and I'm like, well, Mr. President, did you feel like when you were bombing, when you were complicit in Saudi Arabia's bombing of Yemen, that maybe you should have looked into whether or not it was right to do this to these people? Instead of saying that, I'm like, well, it was such a pleasure to be involved with and interview you. You're such a great man. As you take us from 2 wars to 7 and pass a right-wing healthcare plan, Mr. Democrat. Jesus Christ. The progressive people is being scammed by them. No, they're pussies. They don't change anything. They sit on these shows talking trash, and then when they get around these politicians, they give them a tongue bath because they're so like mesmerized by these people. They're not going to do anything. Like if you stick, just an example, right? You stick Mark Levin in front of Biden, he'll actually ask him some serious stuff because he's not like mesmerized by a politician. The rest of these people, if they get in front of anyone with a little bit of power, they can't do it. They can't show any remote strength at all. It's just tongue baths. You saw a little bit of some pushback from the Young Turks on Bernie, a little bit, when they interviewed him, where they were talking about Lawrence Lessig influenced Sanders during the 2016 election. But outside of that, they will not be tough with these people in the slightest. Christopher Loud. Yes, I remember when Jimmy abandoned his Medicare for All position and stuck up for right-wing. Jimmy, opportunist above all, holds no real political beliefs. He is like Trump. Yeah, but they're saying that about everybody. Like in my comments, just in the last 20 minutes, I read comments where they were saying that Cenk was a grifter, that Kyle was a grifter. Like this is just a word that people use in the left-wing sphere of YouTube anytime they don't like somebody. You can't have an actual belief that someone disagrees with. So it's, I don't really take that stuff seriously. Now, grifter is the new N-word. It's just this term that people throw out anytime they don't like somebody. Yeah, it's grifting is when someone I don't like makes money. And it's even weirder too, because all these people that make videos about this stuff that have like 100,000 subscribers or even less than that in some cases, they're all getting paid off of this, which I'm not opposed to, but it's like, you're all going to get paid off of giving your position on issues by an audience that wants to compensate you for your time. And then you're going to criticize other people for getting paid for their time. It's like, I'm allowed to make money, nobody else is, or else they don't genuinely believe this stuff. That is insane. Again, Cenk, Anna, or Kyle, sucking doesn't make Jimmy good. Well, I like him, and if you don't like him, that's cool. But you know, I don't really know what else to say. Like, if you're gonna come here and try to change my mind, it's not gonna work. Yellow Jacket movement is Jimmy, and Anna is BLM, all fluff but no substance. Well, we already torched BLM years ago on here. It's like I go for months without being able to find a job. Nobody cares. Nobody protests. Nobody rallies. I tried to do a show, but I can't get voice actors for it, so I'm unable to do this thing that I do all the other work for. Nobody cares. Nobody protests. Nobody rallies. But then if I get shot by a police officer, oh my God, Justin was so important. He was this big deal. How could you do this to him? Like, that's why, like, all this stuff happens to black people, and like nobody cares. And then when they get murdered by a cop, now there's this big spotlight put on them at last. You finally get your day in the limelight posthumously. You're only cared about when you're deceased. I can't understand. Became $1 million making movement, and we got a no Asian hate bill before specific. Yeah, well, again, it's because a lot of people at the top are just doing it so they get some coins. That's pretty much with every group, where the people at the top become like millionaires, and then like they kind of just stop caring after all. Like, yeah, whatever. I guess we'll do some more rallies. I don't know. Jimmy is a real person. Well, again, I don't know. Like, Diane, anytime a bunch of people see a stream, you're gonna have somebody that comes in there talking trash about whoever the person. They're like, basically they don't like him, but they'll keep looking up videos on. I hate this person so much. That's why he's the top thing in my search feed. Identity politics divides people. Yeah, and they're using that over and over. See, remember, one of the things people said about having Harris as the 2020 nominee was that people were going to be able to call people racist and sexist for not liking her. So now with AOC and the rest of the squad members, and with Anna and with Emma, all these other people, right? Because they're chicks, they can say if Dore criticizes multiple of them that he's sexist, even though he has segments speaking very disparagingly about male politicians all the time. Because again, it's the gender shield and identity politics working together. I don't know, Curtis. People, just ignore them, man. Let them type whatever they want. Please address Jimmy making excuses for abandoning Medicare for all to her face live on the show. Honestly interested in your thoughts. Well, I mean, I wasn't a fan of him not going in as hard as I think he should have on Tulsi, but like, I've had disagreements with all these people. I didn't like that the Young Turks were sitting up there talking about we need to get out of Yemen, and then you're going to try to get rid of Collins, who's one of the few Republicans in the Senate that actually continuously voted to get out of Yemen. So there are a lot of people I like, or at least mostly agreed with, that did something or said something I didn't agree with. So that was something I didn't like. But again, I'm not going to stop watching them over it. I haven't been a fan of every segment he did on AOC, but you know, it is what it is. Who did I vote for? In the last election, Howie Hawkins, and the one before that, Gary Johnson. Yeah, I haven't voted for a Democrat yet in the presidential election. In the primaries for both of the last two, I voted for Sanders. Before the rest of the party said no thanks. Because when you see this system in action, you can't help but go off. Yeah, like if you go to downtown LA and you see all these homeless people, you're really supposed to smile at that and not be pissed off. It's like, look at all these people living in boxes. Oh, this is such a nice sight to see, as I have a representative that doesn't talk about this at all. Jimmy Rage is how the people feel. He's a manifestation of our rage. That's why he is so popular. Again, man, people need to stop tone policing, because if you get upset or angry at stuff that is wrong, you shouldn't have someone that tries to shame you over that. Why does everybody have to talk in a whispery voice to be able to be taken seriously? Well, I know that we're killing people in 7 different countries for multiple years, and that we have infrastructure that gets a D+, and 27% of the homeless are veterans, meaning that when they survive the wars, we treat them like they're garbage that died anyway. But I can't show rage over this, because if I do, people will say that I'm mentally ill for getting upset over something that any normal person would get angry over if they actually gave a damn about anybody but themselves. It's just, all they do is just nitpick. And again, you go to TYT, they're yelling on there. You go to Kyle's channel, he's yelling. The only one of these people that I haven't seen yell, or at least I can't remember seeing yell, is like Pac-Man. Like all of them shout and scream. And dude, that Nomiki Kant's person's hilarious, because I remember when she first joined the Young Turks. I think it was like back in 2016 or something, or it was like I think after the election. And she used to do segments with Dore, and it's like now you're with you buddied up with Sam Cedar, and now you're anti Dore. Yeah, funny how that works, huh? They are birds with a feather. It's fun. You can find so many segments of like Dore on the Young Turks with people who now hate him. Like you can find a segment of him with Cedar and Cenk from like 2011. I was like, what the hell? What kind of alternate universe is this where Cedar and Dore are like sitting right next to each other? I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, it'd be funny if Cedar's like, I can't wait to have a problem with this person to make over 40 videos about another grown man and claim that I embarrassed him. TYT gave Dore his own show on their channel because of his tone. Dude, if Dore was so bad, they wouldn't have kept him around for years. That's just how it works. And like I said, Cenk and Anna are the wrong people to start playing the morality police. Like you don't do segments talking about camel toe and let's show naked pictures of women and then say, oh yeah, we care so much about not sexualizing and objectifying women, and we're advocates of the Me Too movement. Yeah, everybody yells. I don't know where this weird thing came from that Dore's the only one that's supposed to be all polite and kind and not shout ever. She just smiles while doing it. I'm supposed to grin while we have all these people dying in Yemen from the worst humanitarian crisis ever. It's like, yeah, today Saudi Arabia bombed a hospital and a grocery store, and more and more children are dying of starvation. But yeah, I'm supposed to like these Democrats. Oh my God, what is wrong with people? And he's like, we report the actual news. We're like, hell, you don't have to address these people. Like nobody makes you turn on your camera and respond to someone else. Like I've done videos that get thousands of views. If I respond to every comment, whether it's typing out or I would like literally just be responding to all kind of people. People always say Dore has changed. I've been watching for a few years and it hasn't been Dore that has changed. No, he's just been criticizing different people that he used to like not criticize. The Young Turks gave Dore his own show to even out their neoliberalism. Cenk sold out to Dems. Yeah, he thought they were going to let him go to Congress, and he was in for a rude awakening. I know why Jimmy moved on. He wasn't prepared to change his values for money. Again, they turn on everybody that has split from them. Like they only talk trash about Glenn Greenwald because he sided with Dore. If he didn't, they would be tongue bathing him. Oh my God, the most amazing journalist of all time, which actually would be accurate because he's very acclaimed. But now since he doesn't believe their BS, he's there's something wrong with him. Not with the company that tries to play Me Too advocate after posting sexist segments for years. Oh my God. That Dore TYT class is a very important moment. The left online channels map will be redistributed while TYT dimmed down gradually. And Cenk was really sitting there like, we're getting the most views we've ever gotten. It's like, well, if I had a 5 million subscriber channel and I had videos that were getting less than 300,000 views, I would look at it and say, that looks a little off. And again, of course, they're going to get bigger. At a certain point, especially if a channel is over 100,000 subs, it's going to keep getting larger because more and more people are being exposed to it daily. And if it has like thousands of videos, but again, it doesn't mean people are actually enjoying it. There's a whole bunch of people that subscribe and even watch somebody. So it's like, it's hilarious to me. Cenk himself from the Middle East, though he advocates for bombing Syria. Shame on you. Yeah, he forgot his roots. I have relatives from Belize. You think if somebody said that we should bomb over there, I'd be okay with that? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Yeah, he really had a segment supporting bombing Syria. I had never seen it either. I was like, he really just said that? Wow. Because again, if you're a regular person, you probably are going to miss, even if you watch TYT daily, because they put up like 5, 6, 7 videos a day, so it's hard to watch all of that. So they do say some ridiculous stuff that goes unchecked. Greenwald has been a tool for years now. I mean, Gregory, maybe he is, but like I said, if he didn't like these people, he wouldn't be here. Like I like Jimmy, that's why I did a stream defending him. I like Glenn, that's why I did a stream defending him. I used to like Cenk, that's why I did a video defending him when he got yanked from Justice Democrats over the stupidest thing I'd ever seen. So, I don't hate watch people. Like I don't watch Mark Levin or Sam Cedar or any of these other people because I don't really care for them. So why would I want to sit there and watch someone I don't enjoy? Only time they get watched is if they talk about somebody I like. Make love, not war. Drop the bombs yourself. You love war so much. I'm just imagining just having a bomb and just throwing it over there. Just develops this superhuman strength. Yeah, the segments with Dore are probably the most, rewatchable. Dude, anyone that says Greenwald is a bad journalist is insane. That man has accomplished more in one finger than most of the people on this website ever will. Oh, that's crazy. You don't get death threats for your journalism if you're doing a bad job. It doesn't happen. Especially not by a government or like people in a foreign country. Yeah, I don't take that stuff seriously. Anyways, I'm gonna get off of here because I have to go do some things. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. If you subscribe, actually watch the stuff because people love doing that. They subscribe and they don't watch. That's how TYT has 5 million subscribers, and you can't think of one video they've done that's gotten 1 million views in years. Or if they have, it's over putting somebody more famous than them's name in the title. So people are watching it for them instead of the actual opinions of the Young Turks. So thanks for checking this out. Glenn Greenwald is a great journalist. If you think otherwise, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know who you support. Dore is showing how ridiculous these people are. Like if you get criticized over policy and you have to come up with a sexual allegation about someone who stopped working with you multiple years ago that you only now can come out with after holding your tongue for 8 years, that should tell you something. So thanks. Have a good day. See you.